Hey guys, it's Model Making Time, and today we're at Leeds Arbories for Leeds Model Show. Leeds Model Show is based at the Arbories. Well, actually, it's kind of in a building behind it. There's a sort of function room behind there, and it's inside this building where we have the model show for today. So, starting off with Wakefield, a club we've seen many times, but the first time in its natural habitat. I've never actually been to any of the sort of Leeds or Huddersfield shows before. At least I don't think I have. And so this was a first glimpse at seeing them in their own turf. They greeted you in the hall with this vibrant display, a mix of naval, aircraft and land-based models. This base mark right in the middle was what my Mr. Modeler chose, and I loved this Yak 38, the twin-seat variant. This Cromwell looked really nice, and the shadows on it just looked really epic, I thought. And then we have this Tornado with this gorgeous tail art, and it's so cute. And then this Skyraider. Love the weathering for the engine. Next to them was White Rose. I don't know if I've seen this club before. I think I have, but it was pretty much just figurines, which I always really like seeing because it again shows another side of modelling for vignettes and figurines that we don't really see. This is a horse that I'd heard nothing about, and then I went and read the whole Wikipedia page about, and I think that's a really, really fantastic point of modelling, is just sharing the wealth of information. And there's KBG Workshop, which again was this little modelers pick for the table. We're now heading over to Darlington. Whilst there may not be a Top Gun SIG at this show, there are enough F-14s on this table to satisfy anyone, and I particularly love the weathering on this version on display here. This is an M8 Greyhound, something I did have to look up, and I love this camera. It just looks so alive, absolutely stunning. Heading over to the What If SIG, who is situated next up. We've seen a lot of these things on display at the previous show at Bolton, but that didn't stop there being new things to share and show with the world. So, a couple of things I really needed to show you today. That included another airborne early warning system, or sort of AWACS variant, and a couple of pieces that I just thought looked really nice. You can see one of them there. That's the sort of variant of the Hawker HS-125, but this is a T-57 first of all. I am slightly learning tanks, but this one was brand new to me, so again, I had to run off and read about it. And this is sort of a, I guess, a Spitfire-esque racer sort of style aircraft. And this is a Hawker HS-125 style AWACS airborne early warning system. I absolutely adore it. It's so cute. We're next over to Rotherham. Another sort of stand we don't see everywhere. It's always nice to see different displays when we're going around different shows. A Jaguar in French markings for the Armée de l'Air, and a P-47 in, I guess, like Australian or Commonwealth markings. And then we've got HMS Compass Rose here. Really lovely little display. Electronic Warfare SIG. SIG quite small in terms of sort of the amount of models on the stand, but there were some really grand models and some really interesting pieces, including this SR-71 that you can see on the top, which of course we all know and adore that aircraft. It's nice to see the new F-35 on display as well. And then this ME-262 Nachtjager night fighter variant. Hot rods and custom SIG were next on our agenda. Always fascinating to see the things on here because it's so far outside of my wheelhouse that I never really know what anything is, which I think is fascinating. This is a mobile suit from Gundam, which I'm starting to watch, so I'm slowly starting to get some of the references to this that I see all around as Gunpla grows in popularity, and that's sort of demonstrated by being on this stand, I guess. And then we've got her here as well. Oh, how cute. F1 and Motorsports TIG is up next. Again, very similar to the previous one in the fact that I know nothing about this, and it's always really fun just to see new things. But I'll be honest, I just look for whatever I think looks cutest, or ones I haven't done before. I don't think I did this Jägermeister themed one before, and this was Miss Modeller's Pick, which I think is the BMW maybe? Correct me in the comments anyway, let me know. Edinburgh is up next, and I've not actually been to Edinburgh's show, so that's something I might consider this year. It all depends on, availability, because quite a long way to go, but it is on the cards maybe. Really varied display on here and some really fascinating subjects, including this BBL and Elan. Beside it, this just looks stunning. This is an IL2 or IL10, I wasn't really too sure. I don't know the differences between them, sort of aesthetically, and an IL81. And then we've got this Airco DH2. This just looked phenomenal, just amazing work. So Tyneside had two different displays on here. They had Tyneside, which is the United States Naval Aircraft. I don't know if this was a SIG on its own, but it was sort of Tyneside Naval Aircraft. So we've got the Skyray here, of course, and then the Cutlass. I just sort of chose the two aircraft that I always think are so wacky and sort of US Naval Air Service, and then Tyneside next to them. And we had a discussion with them about just how modelling is just whatever you want it to be, and you only have to please yourself. And I love the desert scheme on the C-130. It looks amazing. And then we've got a Nimrod. I always take pictures of Nimrod. I'm sorry, I love it. It's a beautiful, beautiful aircraft, and I miss it very, very much. Heading over to York, and there are a lot of dioramas on display. Dioramas are getting ever increasingly popular in the modelling space, and I think that really goes hand in hand with the popularity of tabletop as well. There's sort of a really good crossover between the two there. So it's nice to see these sort of dioramas bringing our subjects to life. I'm yet to do one, but I'm sure I will do one soon, because seeing these is just amazing. It scares me. There's so much work to do into them. And of course, it's French February on this channel. That's the thing that I've said starting to spread as well for the Hawk 75. Now over to Nottinghamshire. A lot of tanks on display here, and there's a really cute diorama. I think it's in 1144 scale, and girly, we all know that I absolutely adore that scale. So here it is. Oh my god, look how cute it is. I love this. Micro diorama, coast size, and then next to it, a Stug egg, giant beast, and then this is a really nice collection. I didn't really ask further about it. I wish I had at the time. Heading over to Brampton, pink Spitfire, very, very visible there. Love the Racky pink on the Spitfires, it always looks great. And these three tanks at the front, you may have already seen them in this video. I really, really liked them. I don't know if I've seen them before. I feel like I have, but either way, I love them. Yeah, it gives me major like Girls and Panzer flag tank vibes, honestly. Really, really cute. I love them so much. I hope you add more to this collection, because I'd love to see like a Japanese one, a Russian one, maybe even an Italian one if you're feeling really nice. And then, yeah, we're going over to this F1 from Mitsubishi. So following off from Brampton, we've got Sesku, who, again, we saw at Brampton. No, that's not the show we went to Bolton's show. Bolton's show was only last month, so this is the second show of the year that we've been to. And the second time we've seen this display. Again, a very varied display, including some mechs like this one, which very much give me Iron Harvest vibes, the sort of diesel punk RTS. Then this motorcycle on sidecar got Mr. Model's face just because it's something very unusual, and to try and recognise the unusual models on this show. And I like this, I think it's a Lancia, right? I just really like the weathering on this. I thought the dusting on it was just absolutely fabulous. Heading over to North Riding now. Really, really epic diorama right in the centre there. And there were a couple of aircraft that were really interesting. There's a Spitfire right at the end that has really, really unique sort of weathering effects on it that we'll see later. You can see the Gannet there as well. And this Gazelle, I love the Gazelle so much. I just had to get a picture of this. This diorama I just thought looked really lively, and there's another one next to it, like say just a bit further up here, which is sort of over the top, which again, very, very dramatic, very well done. And here's the Spitfire I mentioned earlier. with all its weathering. I thought that looked fantastic. Northern England airfields, they always recognise me because of my really long nails, which I always find really funny. And obviously they're always different every time you see me. Love this thing because it's just a lot of different aircraft and lots of different eras and just sort of celebrating Northern England really, which I think is lovely and very fitting for this show as well. Now, I did take pictures of things that I definitely have taken before, sort of over the years, but to be honest, I don't really care because I love them. Whitley here first of all, and then that's followed up by this, which is a Curtiss Mohawk. We then got a Jetstream, beautiful, beautiful aircraft, and then the Sycamore on the hill, which I've definitely taken pictures of several times, but I love this diorama. It's absolutely stunning. Sutton Spartans are up next. Again, very packed display, and that's Sunderland, by the way. We will see a picture of it in a moment. I just thought that was amazing. And of course, as there were Italians on the table, also I'm going to take pictures of them, the SM-82. So, look at that, mottling camo. You call it mottling, I don't really know, but I love it. And Sunderland, yeah, it was a really neat display of it, and I just thought it looked really, really nice. Sunderland's are so hard to get right, and you did a fantastic job. New Zealand SIG, probably the biggest New Zealand SIG table I've seen. We love the C-47 at the end. We have taken pictures of quite a lot of the SIG over the years, so probably not as many new things here as you might hope, but again, some of these SIGs are run by only a couple of people, so you have to take that into consideration. You can't just expect new things all the time. But the C-47 here, I just thought was really, really nice. And for something completely different, a Staghound. And we've got this diorama which says it's Pack 40. I think the sort of the weathering effect around where it's laying down just looks really cool. Helen and Spalding up next, like the round bases and everything. I've always liked round bases. Just think they add a certain je ne sais quoi. Really liked the Blenheim and the Fokker on the snow. They're definitely things I've seen before because I know the glittery snow that I saw on there, but couldn't take my eye off them, I'm going to be really honest. So got a picture of them after this CF100 in Belgium, Air Force colours, the export customer of the aircraft. And here's the Fokker on its snowy base, which looks great. Now, interestingly, at the show as a whole, I didn't notice a lot of World War I and interwar years things, so I did try and take pictures of them, like this Tank Mark 1 that we can see here. Yeah, it seemed to be lacking overall at the show. Now, United States Air Force SIG, a couple we see quite a lot, but their stand always looks phenomenal. It's always so well organised, and it just looks so epic. This is like the Zyto airfield that every single child dreams of having. I remember my dad made me a really small airfield when I was a kid, and if I could have like this in my house now, I would love it. I think my partner would probably make me leave those. So now we flew through a couple of fairly well-known aircraft there. Of course, we've now got the A3 Sky Warrior, and that's followed up by this F111. Heading over to 580 modelers now. A couple of really unique models in here. Some sort of air defense turrets or weaponry, and I know nothing about those things, so it's really cool like seeing them here and then being able to go and like look at them up later, because I love that. Like I mentioned earlier, modelling is all about like making you explore things that you've never looked at before. And over Whitley, this time in a very, very different livery. And then we've got one of the first drones we've seen at this show. It's been getting again increasingly popular, and here's the GWS-30 Sea Dart I mentioned earlier. Love the cadmium decals on here. And now we're over at Nottingham and District. Now, there were a couple of people at the end of this, and I always try to make sure I film around people as much as possible, so apologies if this is not the best filming, but again, it's just how I try and do it. I try and like be quite natural and not push my way in. Really love the grass effects. So I'm assuming they're from brooms, but they look like it's sort of a broom that's been cut up to make sort of the grass tufts, but it looks amazing. And look at that. Absolutely amazing work. We're now heading over to Merseyside. Beetle's right at the top of that display, as per usual. And HMS Liverpool sort of sits at the front of that Merseyside sign. Really cool display, actually. World War I aircraft and the tap hole here as well. and Millennium Falcon also joining the display, which again is really important. The Sherwins here, and there's the Millennium Falcon I mentioned earlier. Love a bit of sci-fi thrown into the mix. This Newport NI-10, World War aircraft, something I need to do more of. And then this Cadillac from 1909. Heading over to Lincoln show I did go through to a couple of years ago. It was quite far for me to go, and probably remains the case still today. But this display does make me want to go back to the sort of show because it was so good, and I loved seeing their like absolutely massive display they had at their show because so much variety. And this was really no different. It was a lot to see here. From Henry VIII, the old Airfix kit. I really wish I could do these, but I know I'd mess up the faces. This fire engine here, which looks stunning, really eye-catching. Wallace and Gromit. I think this is the old Airfix kit again. Something else I really want to do. And the Stuka, and I always think the Stuka looks really different when it's got the yellow front on it. And then an Army of Corn from Warhammer 40k. I think this is all the older style things with all sorts of other reflex. Not entirely sure, haven't kept up with 40k too well. Manchester, we also saw at Bolton, unsurprisingly, and not surprised to see them at a fellow Northern model show as well. Really lovely display. Again, Back to the Future, really steals the show on this, but I tried not to focus on it too much. We did film it with the smoke, so if you want to see that, go have a look at the Bolton video so that you can make sure you can see it in all its working glory. But yeah, this time I tried to sort of catch some different things. We've seen some World War I aircraft. Got this VC-10, the 1144 scale one. Also got this lovely looking Valentine, and then Back to the Future, as I mentioned a moment ago. I really liked it though, the light reflecting off it just looked fantastic. Now, I didn't actually see a name on this SIG, and I'm really sorry if I didn't. There was a poster for like Away at All Boats, so I think that's it, but I haven't picked your name on the actual video, just in case I got it wrong. So if that's the case, I'll put it in the timestamp, because I didn't want to immortalize it wrong. But this is amazing, and this whole flight deck came off. The creator was explaining to someone there that you can like remove a few bits and it just like lifts off entirely, which is insane. Airliner SIG were next to them. Airliners are something I don't know if I would ever build. I sort of like consider it, but I'd really want to do it in 1/72nd. And I do have that 707 to do at some point, so maybe I will end up doing one. Was it 747? I can't remember. I've got that Hella one I did an unboxing one ages ago, and I think I've got the Aer Lingus decal, so maybe I will do one. It's just a space thing, really. Classic British kits, if you remember these from the Telford video, they did a giant matchbox display, and it looks like they're heading over to do Airfix this year, so I'll be really excited to see them at Telford with a sort of vintage Airfixy feel. Really interesting display, because I guess as we progress onwards, so many things even from my childhood start to become classic kits. But I think it's always important to, one, appreciate the nostalgia that we have, but also remember how fantastic modelling is now, and the variety we have these days is remarkable. And some of the new models are just like groundbreaking compared to what we had in the past. The Strike Master here in Saudi markings, and then the Setcat Jaguar, which I've always thought this looks just amazing in the sort of Gregory camo. Asian Air Arm SIG, I think, gives a really good example of many aircraft that most people probably don't even know about, such as like the Taiwanese FCK, which the name always needs to be, but I've got one of them to make in 1/72nd, and the JF-17 in Chinese Pakistani livery. This is sort of a special display one they did, went in Pakistan, bought the type because it was originally Chinese, and I think they've done like localized production. J10 here, I think of the August 1st display team, and here's the FCK that I was mentioning earlier from Taiwan. SIG 144, I guess at this point we should say like they're friends of the channel, because They always say hi to me, they always recognize me, and I'm always very enthusiastic about that. It's like, because I just think what they do with 1144 scale models is amazing. Like, most people struggle to make amazing dioramas at like a bigger scale. That's not to say like it's easier like a bigger scale. It's a very different challenge. But I think as someone like myself who does 72nd scale, I've looked and dabbled, I guess, at 148. I just think like the idea that they can make such a believable diorama on what is essentially the size of a coaster is absolutely insane. Like, I love it. And it fits in really well because like it gives Gundam models like those at the back a really good sense of grounding and reality, because they are normally like that sort of scale. I mean, look how believable that is. Got a Chinook here as well, which I took a picture of because obviously we're getting the brand new Airfix one this year, an A-Wing. That's Mr. Modeler's choice. I don't think he'd seen it before. I've got some good down here. The lighting on this, by the way, I just thought it looked amazing in this picture. That's why I didn't give a blurred background like I have in most of them. And then just some stables. I think this is new. I've not seen this before. I absolutely adore it. It's beautiful. Heading over to Cleveland. Kura in the front there. Really varied display, yes, again, a couple of secret projects hidden underneath the shelf there. And then there's a diorama up here with sort of a train yard, which I like because we don't get enough train representation, to be honest, in scale modelling. I'd like to see more because I'd like to learn more about trains. So I did just buy a DVD set of like train journeys for like background stuff in my living room when I have people over, so maybe I will start learning more. MiG-29 in Czech colours there, or Czechoslovakian colours. And then we've got this Humber here as well. And then we've got this Arado flying wing, I think it is. And here's that sort of scene I was mentioning earlier. I think that just looks amazing. Really believable. Sheffield's next up on our list. I will say a couple of the stands coming up next, they will have a bit more of a sort of flashing light. One of the lights was damaged in the hall, it seemed, or like was on the bit of the fritz, so it was like going on and off a little bit. So I do apologise if there's some slight flashing that's going on from these ones going forward. And one of them is also out of order, just because, again, I was just trying to work around other people. So yeah, just a little heads up for you guys. Really some amazing work on here. The Bristol Freighter. I always think it's a little bit of like a goofy aircraft. It just has really weird proportions to it, I've always thought. And then we've got this Japanese Self-Defense Force Type 16. From what I looked up, again, loved having to go down a rabbit hole to find what that was. Staffordshire Moorlands around the corner, so I think this is where we've missed one club that we'll go back to later. We'll circle back around. Again, really varied display, and I'm sure my friend Fenris Model, again, absolutely love this because dinosaurs seem to be getting a bit more popular. I've seen like a few more boxes of these in model shops, so that's always a really good sign. Some Doctor Who here, and I love this medical scene. It just looks really authentic, which I think is always nice on the diorama. Kelly up next. Again, apologies for the flashing light that's in this. We'll get a close-up of one of the ships in a moment. Kitty back by the front. Lancaster. There's many of those at this show, actually. A graffitied up MiG-23, I think. We'll get a picture of that. And a little diorama for the Battle of Britain film as well, which we'll definitely get a picture of. So there's the ship, as I mentioned earlier. Love the sort of edge highlighting that's got on here. It's really, really nice. I really wish I had the patience to do those. I do have one to do at some point. Here's the sort of graffitied aircraft, as I mentioned earlier. And there's Beaufighter. And here's the scene from Battle of Britain, right at the opening of the film. Phenomenal. Black Sheep are up next. B-17 there was amazing oil staining on the wings. From the exhaust of the engines. Mandalorian, front and centre. Thunderbirds, which I think we took a picture of last time, that's why I've not taken a picture of it this time, because again, I try and do different things. Don't always do it, but I try to. Really likes the finish on this. I think it just looks really incredible. And then this sort of tank repairmanship. This looks like a really lively scene. North Staffordshire, so this is one we've gone back to. J52 in the front there. Love these sort of Star Wars jet bikes flying around the trees. Skip around someone who was having a conversation with them, which again, really lovely to see. It shows people getting really engaged. Here we see the first diorama think has been sort of taken out entirely. J52, as I mentioned earlier. And then we've got this speeder scene, which absolutely amazing. The liveliness of him coming off the bike is phenomenal. A lot of traders at the show, and there seem to be a lot of smaller traders than you might get at some other shows, which is great because it allows some people to really, really shine. And I actually didn't end up buying any kits at this show, which absolutely shocked me. Not because there wasn't a lot there, but just I didn't. I did get one of the pictures off there, so I got a Bolton Pool Defiant picture that's now hanging from my wall. Absolutely lovely people, and they're from the Wakefield Club. They were actually sort of the host of the show, and yeah, I think one of the clubs that host it. I think it's sort of a split effort, but yeah, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for giving us an amazing show. Thanks to all subscribers, but especially my channel members. Shout outs go to my advanced kit level members, including Gavin Blackburn, Wayne Welly, Hobby Time, Scaly Models, Phil, Genevieve Albridge, David Barber, Taggers 365, Jeff's Dioramas, Iron Duke, and the two longest supporting members of the channel, Explosive Water and Crazy Closure. If you haven't seen some of my content before, check out this video that YouTube has recommended just for you, and make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you are notified of new videos when and they come out. Have a great day, and see you later.